Dear Sarah Bareilles, I'm writing this note to you with a dying man's urgency, though I fear my efforts may be in vain. First, I must provide context for what I'm about to scribble down on this gigantic igneous rock using nothing but a much smaller sedimentary rock. As a child, and then, much later, as a fully grown adult, there was something I thought about regularly. This was the thing. What if I got stranded on a desert island and could only play one song before my phone died, and after the last note of that one song, my whole universe had no music until I died? What would that last second of music before endless silence feel like? I didn't think about this thing that regularly, mostly just while I was coming back from jogs, or wrapping up at the gym or pulling into work. I'd let whatever song was playing finish, then pause the playlist. Then I'd just sit there in the silence and ambient noise and wonder, what if that was it? What if that last note, or chord, or verse was the last thing I'd ever hear? Would that be a sufficient encapsulation of the human spirit? Would it speak for the highs, the lows, the pitiable, the glorified, the dead, the living, the love-struck, the lovesick? Would it be something I could accept as the last thing to be heard before silence reigned forevermore? Well, this is the part where you come in. I first heard your song, I Choose You, off of your album The Blessed Unrest, when I was pacing through a Wegmans in Hunt Valley, Maryland in 2018. I was trying to get to the pharmacy because my daughter had just had her wisdom teeth pulled, and when I'd last seen her, was begging to be relieved of her agonizing pain. As I was at the pharmacy counter, I was struck by the jovial, upbeat rhythm of your song, I Choose You, and actually recognized your voice right away by its straight but sweet timbre. I thought, this is Sara Bareilles, isn't it? I pulled out my phone and used one of those song identifier apps to discover that, in fact, yes, this was your song. Huh. Sara Bareilles, I think I said to myself at the time. I can't recall exactly what was said, as this was nearly 800 years ago. Anyway, on my way home, I listened to your song twice in a row. As I pulled into the garage, I waited for the song to end, despite the awareness I had about my daughter's severe pain, and had that thought I was telling you about earlier. Would I Choose You be a sufficient encapsulation of the entirety of the human spirit? Would it summate our peaks and valleys, wars and peaces, decadences and starvations, sins and redemptions? I thought about it for 10 seconds. Then I went inside the house to give my daughter her analgesic syrup, and that was that. Well, you can imagine my surprise when one day about 5 years later, I was midway to Thailand to meet my new wife in person for the first time. A beautiful, pale lady from England I'd agreed to meet in Chiang Mai, when my plane experienced total engine failure. I can't really tell you what happened after the engine failure, but it was almost a scene-for-scene replica of what happened in the 2000 film Castaway, starring Tom Hanks. Anyway, I eventually washed up at a lovely, unpopulated island I've since come to know as Dayglow Island, named after nothing. It was just a name that gave me hope. And there, I learned the rudimentary basics: fishing, coconut cracking, fire building. Anyway, one fine day early on in my endless exile, I realized that my phone, which had been thus far lying in a bed of banana leaves, did indeed still work, and that because of that, help would probably soon be on its way, right? Right. In the flash of optimism and bon vivancy that followed this revelation, I took out my phone to listen to some music. I figured that one less hurrah before my phone's battery died wouldn't hurt, and that the next morning barges would come plowing through the malevolent coral reefs to save me from this protracted penury and reinstall me within the mainframe of contemporary human civilization. As it turns out, Sarah, I Choose You was the only song I had downloaded to my actual phone. That it was the only song I could listen to without a signal from any number of cell providers in the South Central Pacific Ocean. I'm not sure how it happened. I probably deleted tracks to make room for new stuff. I'm not sure. Can't remember at this point. But anyway, yours was the song I chose. Anyway, I listened to your song, and as I listened to it, I had that thought again. What if this was it? What if nothing came after? What if I'd never hear sweet chords, sweet voices, guitars, drums, choruses, pre-choruses, verses, etc. ever again? On that final you, it all sank in. This was it. The end was here. That barge, it was never coming. They'd never find me. My phone? Without reception, it was useless. The view before me, receding and arriving at once, was the view I'd have until I died. And with my phone's battery now completely dead, that song, your song, was the last music, the last connection with humanity that I'd ever have. And with that thought, the song ended. At some point, Sarah, those 800 years passed. Time seems to move very quickly and very slowly on this remote outpost, and I do wonder what's become of the rest of humanity. Possibly nothing, probably something. At this point, I have no threads to the rest of the world, and I guess I'm content about it. I'd already let go of my wife years before washing up on Dayglow. That was easy. We were divorced, and she was remarried. 3 years after my washing up, I even let go of Priscilla, my fair English maiden with whom I'd failed to convene at Chiang Mai. Jump ahead to 60 years later, I'd let go of my daughter too. That was hard enough, but I can tell you now that the hardest part of dying is watching everyone accept your death, even when you can't accept it yourself. But at year 99, I cracked that coconut as well. Sarah, I guess this is all just really to say that you hold a special place in my heart. That last song I listened to before my phone died and the world went quiet until the end of my life, it holds a place so special and dear in my heart. But now I fear that you, either by death or simply foreignness of concept or idea, may not be able to get what I'm trying to say. I guess at the end of the day, I just wanted to say thank you. You were a beautiful ending to my affiliation with the civilized world, and more. One day, when I am rescued and interrogated by sentient AI bots that have certainly consumed the world, as was the prediction in 2023 when I went missing, I'll be able to submit your song as what it indeed is, a far more of an adequate resume